Okay, Tamadal, brother Tantu.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين رضيت بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيا ورسولا رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. My brothers and sisters in Islam, today is, I think, the 26th day of Ramadan for us in US. And I was given the task to give a talk today. The original topic is virtue of the Qiyamul Layl. I've prepared that one, but this morning I changed my mind because as probably some of you already know, every time I talk, I like to talk about family. I like to talk about raising our kids. And I want to use this opportunity with the ending of the Ramadan, as well as the pandemic right now, where everybody's staying home, that how can we benefit out of it? So before I start, I like to tell the story. So the story, I've probably told this story twice or once or twice in the masjid. The story is it's a true story about a young man. He was about 16 years old or so, in some narration, 16 or 17 years old. His name is not known very much by anybody in the Muslim community, normal Muslim community. So his name is Thabit ibn Nu'man. Thabit, Thabit ibn Nu'man. Thabit ibn Nu'man lives in the area of Iraqi, I believe, at that particular time. He's a young man who is like to wandering around town. So he walked around town, and then one day he was walking around the town, and he was so hungry and tired. So he was passing through, at that particular time, he was passing through a garden in the border of a river. And so he sat down underneath the apple tree, if I'm not mistaken. Some narration said that he was sitting, I was sitting down under the tree, an apple tree. When he was sitting under the tree, I mean, his stomach's growling, he was hungry, he was thirsty, and all of a sudden there is a apple fruit came down from the tree, fall down from the tree. So immediately, because of his hunger, he picked up the apples and started eating it. After a couple of bites, he's eating it. He realized, he said, woe unto me. How can I do this? How can I betray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? I'm eating this apple without the permission of the owner. So he felt really bad because he's eating something. So he stopped eating it, and then he felt bad. So he said, man, how can I ask for forgiveness? So he was asking around the town and said, hey, do you know who's this garden belongs to? So because I need to talk to the owner. So people told him, said, you know, this Fulan and this Fulan, he lives next village. He owned this this garden. So here we go. He went and tried to find the owner. He went to the next village and found the owner's house. He knocked on the door. When he knocked on the door, an old man came out and said, "Ya Fulan, what do you want?" He said, "Ya Ammu, ya uncle, I have made terrible mistakes. I ate the fruit, an apple from your garden without your permission." So the owner said, "So what do you want?" He said, "You know, I would like to ask you for forgiveness." And the owner said, "No, I'm not gonna forgive you." And he slammed the door, closed the door. Thabit ibn Nu'man stay outside the door or the house of those that man. A couple of minutes or probably 30 minutes later, the owner opened the door. There you go, Thabit ibn Nu'man still there. So he said, "What do you want, Fulan?" He said, I will not gonna leave this house until you give me forgiveness." So the owner slammed the door and closed again the door. The third time, he opened the door again. And here you go, Thabit ibn Nu'man still outside the house. So he said, please forgive me. Uncle, please forgive me for what I did. So the uncle, the owner, says, okay, I will forgive you with one condition. I will forgive you in the case that you have to marry my daughter. And Tabit ibn Uman said, what kind of punishment is this? I mean, I came here to apologize, and then he asked me to marry his daughter. So the owner said, yeah, but my daughter is deaf, cannot hear, mute, cannot talk, and blind, cannot see. And then all of a sudden, like being hit by lightning, I said, whoa, it is not a blessing. It is basically I have to marry somebody that um, blind, a lady, a girl, a blind, mute, cannot talk, and also cannot hear. But because of the faith of Allah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to repay his mistakes, he agreed to the owner to marry her mute, blind, and deaf daughter. So times come, they get married, right? So after the marriage, usually, I mean, the lady is in the house with the niqab and everything inside there, so he cannot see the face and stuff. So he entered Thabit ibn Numan entered the room, the bedroom, and when he entered the bedrooms, he says salam. He says salamu alaikum. Thabit ibn Numan says salamu alaikum, and from the bedside, he heard her say wa alaikum assalam, and he was surprised. He said, "Can you hear me?" And the lady, the wife, said, "Yes, I can hear you." So she opened the niqab, saw her face. There you go. He saw her that she's not blind, she's not mute, and she can hear her. So he told her, he said, though your father told me that you are mute, you are blind, and you cannot hear. Is he not telling the truth? The lady, which the wife, said that, no, my dad told you the truth. I'm blind from any bad things, anything that displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that I cannot hear anything that is a bad, the curse and all this kind of stuff. All the bad words, all the bad things, I don't hear. And I don't say anything bad out of my mouth. So I'm blind, I'm mute from any bad things coming out my mouth. So the virtue of this story, this couple may get married, and because of the piousness of the couple, it comes the offspring that we all know. His name is Imam Abu Hanifa. Imam Abu Hanifa. Their kid, these two pious, the woman and the man, the young man, coming out an offspring of a very good scholar that in the history, which is Imam Abu Hanifa. One of the reasons I'm telling you this story is that I'm always excited and stuff like that, listening to this, and always wondering, how can I and my spouse create or raise children like him, like these two parents? How can we create it or raise children that can produce people, can produce scholars like Abu Hanifa? And this is always astounding to me or excite me and say, how can we do this? One of my mentor long time ago, his name is Dr. Rida Bashir, and his wife is Dr. Akram. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless them and reward him. He told me a story. He said, Brother Irwan, this is probably in 2003, 2004, when we were doing convention. I was involved and taking care of him as a speaker. And he said, you have to raise your kids in these countries, in United States, just like the Sahaba. So why? Because you remember, all the Sahaba, a young Sahaba at that particular time, Abdullah bin Umar, you know, and any other Sahaba at that particular time, they were raised in the community where non-Muslim is there. And even that, the non-Muslim are harsh on them. And this is why you need to have a target that you're gonna raise your kids uh, as the as same thing as the Sahaba, how the Sahaba raised their children. So you can create tabi'in and tabi'in, or the people, a scholar, the people that conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like what what I did with my kids and stuff like that. I always remember when they were a kid, we're passing through all of this light in during the Christmas time, where all the city in the United States are filled with all the glamours and lights, and the message of Christmas and stuff like that. And always tell them, next time in 10 years from now, uh, during Ramadan, you're gonna see this one in a set is, Mubarak, Ramadan Mubarak, Ramadan Kareem, and stuff like that, just to put in their mind about how to do this. So why is this story I pick up? We have two things. Ramadan is almost over, right? And there are some habits that we have done with our kids during this Ramadan that we can keep after Ramadan. The second thing is that this pandemic and this lockdown where everybody's staying home, this is a good time for us to implement something to create a new culture in our family, right? A new culture. Like my new culture in the family is a little bit different than others, right? My new cultures that we try to revive, for example, in our family during Ramadan, is that every morning when we are after Salatul Fajr, we pray together. We're gonna recite Al Ma'tura together, and then before Maghrib, before we have iftar, we recite again Al Ma'tura, and after Maghrib, we're gonna sit down and read the Quran together every single day. This is a make du'as, inshallah, so I can do that and continue doing that after Ramadan with my family. So I would like to have the same thing with you. So one of the things that I always talk about, I'm really uh, 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 anxious about to my family, even my kids, saying that everybody has to pray together. You cannot pray by yourself. Yeah, I mean, if you come home and you cannot pray, I mean, you haven't prayed, ask anybody, can I pray first? Or if everybody prayed, so we can pray together, right? So like, for example, if I'm late coming home, like 4 o'clock before Asr, they call me and say, hey, Dad, have you, shall I wait for you? Or can we pray first and then you can pray later? So things like that. So when your kids are small, I always tell this one, I will tell again. I will never sigh to tell again, is that how do you wake up your kids in the morning? So it's really important. I mean, right now, your kids wake up in the morning every time for Sahur. Why not continue? Continue doing that during this time. So that way, uh, I mean, they can learn about, they can stay persistent. And one of the things that I always tell people is that since my kids were a little child, we always wake them up, even though it's at 7 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning. We always wake them up with one message only. We always wake them up with, "You're late for Salah, kids, son, daughter. You wait for Salah." So after years, it built up in their head. The only time they wake up is that they wake up only for Salah. So this is always, when you do this every single day with your kids, they will build in their it will build in their mind that every time they have to wake up, is they wake up only for Salah. So you have no problem later on in the future, inshallah, to determine whether it's a time for school or time. If you wake them up for school, then during the holidays, then they're not gonna wake up. There's no school. So this is something that we need to do. The second thing is that to build this, to create this atmosphere of a Quran in the house. Uh, don't you be happy to see the sound of your kids in their room reading the Quran by themselves? You don't even ask them to do it, but they will do it. So one question somebody asked, I think yesterday or something, that how do you make your kids uh, read the Quran? And I was asked one time also when I was giving lectures in Indonesia one time. I said, how do you make your kids learn about the Sahaba or having uh, the interest of reading the Quran and stuff like that? It's a simple question. The Sheikh yesterday mentioned it is a simple thing. You know, he asked the lady, he said, did you read the Quran? So to be able to create this atmosphere, it has to be built within the family, within the parents. If the parents never open up and or never raise any Islamic discussion at home, then the kids will not gonna care about Islamic things. So create this atmosphere at your home to talk about something, to talk about whatever you see, whatever you see that you can relate to the Islamic characters or the Islamic stories and the seerah of Rasulullah SAW or the Sahaba and everything, single things that you do at home. So there's two things, my message today. It's just, my message is to wake up your kids in the morning for Salatul Fajr. Always wake them up for Salatul Fajr. And you will, inshallah, you will see that your kids is going to be, their day is going to be better. If you really love your kids, you wake them up for Salah in the morning. I mean, one of the things that I experienced in Indonesia, when I bring my kids to Indonesia, my parents, my sisters, my brothers and cousin, every time I woke up my kids to and for Fajr to go to the masjid in Indonesia, they said, "Oh, please don't do that. I mean, let them be patient with them. You know, feel sorry. I mean, they're still a little kid. You know, don't you love them? Why you have to wake them up, drag them like that?" But the fact is that you wake them up because you love them. You know, if you don't wake them up, you don't love them. You don't care about them. If you wake them up in the morning, you really care about them because you need this is something for them in after their hereafter. But if you don't never wake them up, then what? I mean, then they're not gonna pray Fajr. And then when they're balik, where they're about 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, you wake them up, they're not gonna listen to you. They're not gonna wake up. So how are you gonna do that? Then you cannot do it. So the second thing is that read the Quran or increase the Islamic stories and Islamic get talking in the house. When you have dinner together, sit down and talk about something. Bring something up. You know, I heard this the brown gems. Talk about the brown gems or talk about any sport figures, and then relate that one to the seerah of Rasulullah SAW or the Sahaba. But it means that what you have to, you, the parents, you have to learn. You have to read, you have to open a book, read something, and then discuss that one with your kids. With that too, inshallah, you can continue that throughout the year until the next Ramadan. Then you can introduce another one. There's two only, not much, two. But your kids, if their kids is big enough, sit down with them, and talk about you want to change. You want to change, and then you would love them to change as well with you. So you ask him to help you. Talk about this Surah Tahrim says, Ya ayyuhalladina amanu ku anfusakum wa ahlikum naran wa quduhan nasu wal hijara. Yeah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, talk about this, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, oh, how you believe, save yourself and your family from the hellfire, which the hellfire is fueled with human being and rocks. So remember that the Jahannam, the hellfire, is fueled with human being and rocks. So with that, I would like to finish up my story. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that to soften our hearts in dealing with our children, our family. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us patience in dealing with them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give the victory of our of the Muslims around the world, to protect the people in Palestine, Syria, Burma, and any oppressed nation in all over and stuff. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to strengthen our iman and to protect our family from any wrongdoings. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتوب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Jazakallah khair. Let's continue inshallah with reciting with me the Al-Ma'turah. Brother Agus, can you share this? Can I share my screen?
Yes, hold on. Yeah, you can share.
Which one is it? Second. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. I would like for everybody to also to read with me whatever we display here in the on the screen, and I would like my son also to. We already did it this morning after Fajr, but anyway, I always ask him to do it because he has a better way of saying it than me. So we're gonna start inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم. مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألف لام ميم. ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون والذين يؤمنون بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك وبالآخرة هم يوقنون أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون. الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. لا إكراه في الدين قد تبين الرشد من الغي فمن يكفر بالطاغوت ويؤمن بالله فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها والله سميع عليم. الله ولي الذين آمنوا يخرجهم من الظلمات إلى النور والذين كفروا أولياءهم الطاغوت يخرجونهم من النور إلى الظلمات أولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون. لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وإن تبدوا ما في أنفسكم أو تخفوه يحاسبكم به الله فيغفر لمن يشاء ويعذب من يشاء والله على كل شيء قدير. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. أصبحنا وأصبح الملك لله والحمد لله لا شريك له لا إله إلا هو وإليه النشور. أصبحنا على فطرة الإسلام وكلمة الإخلاص وعلى دين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى ملة أبينا إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين. اللهم إني أصبحت منك في نعمة وعافية وستر فأتم علي نعمتك وعافيتك وسترك في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما أصبح بي من نعمة أو بأحد من خلقك فمنك وحدك لا شريك لك فلك الحمد ولك الشكر. يا ربي لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. رضيت بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيا ورسولا. سبحان الله وبحمدك عدد خلقك ورضا نفسه وزينة عرشي ومداد كلماتي. بسم الله الذي لا يضر مع اسمه شيء في الأرض ولا في السماء وهو السميع العليم. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من أن نشرك بك شيئا نعلمه ونستغفرك لما لا نعلم. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الهم والحزن وأعوذ بك من العجز والكسل وأعوذ بك من الجبن والبخل وأعوذ بك من غلبة الدين وقهر الرجال. اللهم عافني في بدني اللهم عافني في سمعي اللهم عافني في بصري. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الكفر والفقر وأعوذ بك من عذاب القبر لا إله إلا أنت. اللهم أنت ربي لا إله إلا أنت خلقتني وأنا عبدك وأنا على عهدك ووعدك ما استطعت. أعوذ بك من شر ما صنعت. أبوء لك بنعمتك علي وأبوء بذنبي فاغفر لي فإنه لا يغفر إلا أنت. أستغفر الله العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد عبدك ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما عدد ما أحاط به علمه وخط به كلمه وأرصاه كتابه. وارض اللهم عن سادتنا أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وعن الصحابة أجمعين وعن التابعين والتابعين بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Waalaikumsalam.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.